Hello, sorry for that slight delay. For some reason, my Mac, which never crashes, decided it was the perfect time to crash. So I'm just running around here making sure that everything's still working. In fact, I'm going to check my... Yeah. You can hear me okay, can't you?
Well, you're working, I'm working, therefore everything's working.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good morning.
Exactly. Good morning. It's a rather festive shirt you've got on there.
Getting the old Christmas spirit. You know me, I like me a good Hawaiian shirt, and nothing beats a Hawaiian shirt than a Christmas shirt.
Now, the question, of course, was with a lot of those novelty shirts, is it a unique blend of 110% of the finest polyester that by about 11 o'clock this morning, you're going to be smelling a bit like 3-day-old Christmas turkey?
Yeah, pretty much. The finest that Bangladesh could produce for $5 from Kmart. So I got a friend of mine who gives me a Christmas shirt religiously every single year as part of the Christmas present under the tree. So I'd be doing her a great disservice if I didn't actually wear her Christmas shirts.
Excellent. Excellent. I don't really have any, thankfully. Though I am in the festive season this year, in that on Sunday I'm driving a float in the Mangawhai Santa Parade.
Ooh!
Yes.
1.5 kilometers an hour.
Yes. Yep. And a JACT, a big JAC truck. It's 7.5 ton. I can drive it in a car license because I have an exemption because there's an exemption for electric vehicles. To go up 7.5 ton, and it has the full-on traffic control body on the back. So all the different, it's got stairs up, and then all different decks for your cones and your signs, and the giant light board on the back. Which unfortunately the button's broken right now. So if there are any auto sparkies in the Mangawhai area interested in coming in and just bypassing a switch very quickly for me, so that we can run the giant light board, please do let me know.
Are you part of the general, the entourage in terms of the bringing the parade forward and then bringing it up behind, or you've actually got a float in the back? So, the Mangawhai area kindergarten's annual nativity display on the back or something.
It is the Mangawhai Beach School junior section. So we will have 25 and 6-year-olds on the back with Christmas decorations.
Nice.
We're still working out the safety repercussions of this, but I have because it's a traffic truck, it has a big bar across the top that's there for the traffic control people to tether their vehicle harnesses onto. So it's designed to actually take weight. And I have a rope swing that looks like it would be perfect hung up from it. So I'm wondering whether we could put a rope swing that goes sideways across the truck. Sounds super.
Dare to be different on the health and safety front, Richard, for the Christmas parade.
Yeah. But if anyone needs some sudden traffic control, then I'm your man. I am your man. So that should be a fun one. That should be a fun one. Yes. Are you doing anything Christmassy this year there?
Surviving, to be fair. At the Jolly Croydons. No, the tinsel's already been packed away. Actually, we don't have any tinsel, so no, we're not even doing a Christmas curry after work at some stage. It's just close the doors, bugger off.
Yeah.
Bit grinchy this year. Yeah. Times are tough.
Yeah. That's no good. That is not good. So
this is the Christmas spirit right here.
Yes, this is true. This is true. Well, the other bit of Christmas stuff that usually goes around this year, and I'm going to say it now because I am excited about it, is and motoring journalists or people in the industry will know, who work with motoring journalists will know, we all chase a good Christmas car. You've seen me before, Graeme. I always chase a good Christmas car, and it's usually a practical car. Yep. And it's usually a Ford, because Mr. Tom Clancy at Ford is very good at providing journalists with the fleet for great experiences over the summer season. And I have secured the best Christmas car again. And then we always try and grab a Ford Tornado. So what's a Ford Tornado? A Ford Tornado is the passenger version of a Ford Transit. Of course, the Ford Transit is one of the best vans out there. Short of Hiace has run New Zealand to an extent, but the Ford Transit, if you're talking about a driver's van, is definitely the one to have. So this year we've got in the company 3 Ford Transit Tornados of sort of Ford Transit Tornados.
Wow.
We have the 6-seater, the double cab, not the Tornados. That's more of a sport. We like those. We have the 9-seater. That's going off to one of the guys who's got a family event. That's that awesome vehicle as well. I got the baby one. Does the name
Did you win that last year?
No. Last year I had I can't remember what I had last year. But anyway,
I'd be going for an Everest. I'd be hanging out for an Everest for the Christmas season.
I had an Everest for a little while. That's fine, but a bit big to park in the Mungified Surf Club car park, which is not big.
Christmas. Everyone's brought their Range Rovers to Mungified for Christmas. You'd fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I got a Courier Tornado, which is, and I'm going to pop it up on here, one of these. Now, if people don't remember these, then they haven't spent much time in Europe, because in Europe, these little vans are everywhere. And there was a big thing for a long time, even Top Gear got into them for a while, where Clarkson quite liked, I think, the Citroen version of this kind of thing. So they take the little mini cargo vans, they put windows on it, and they make it into a passenger car space. So you've got folding back seats and a high roof and all this kind of stuff, really short footprint, perfect for the city. And I am excited about this. I think this is going to be an awesome car.
It's quite cool.
It's a good looker. The one I had. Yeah. The don't talk about what website this is on yet, Graeme. It's the green one with the white roof, which I think is a pretty ace combination, though I probably would have liked maybe a red one with the white roof for the full Postman Pat experience. And that's right, they're Postman Pat vans, basically. 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo. SUV-ish cladding, nice big screen inside. Sliding side doors for good access. I think this could be one of the better little summer cars I've had. Because you look for practicality, right? So we're a family of 3. We can fold down in the back, so we can pull out seats. So we've only got 1 seat in the back when we want to, which means that when we go to the beach, we can. And I'll bring. Oh, morning, David. When we go to the beach, we can chuck the boards and the kayaks and stuff into the back next to my daughter, and then because it's high roof and it's tinted windows in the back, she can jump in the back there with all that space for activities and get changed. We have to go and queue up to use the changing rooms, all that kind of stuff. I think this could be one heck of a summer vehicle. So yes,
that's not too shabby. I quite like the colour as in featured just there too. Looks quite smart.
Yeah, anything with two-tone is the way to go. So yeah, have you ever experienced one of these small little European passenger vans, David?
No, they weren't readily around when our family was growing up. But do you remember the old Mazda Bongo?
Yes.
And the Mitsubishi Delica Space Gear.
Oh, those are
gear. Yeah, that's
far too big compared to this little thing. This thing's based on the Ford Fiesta platform. So, yeah. Well, at least what was the Ford Fiesta platform. So yes, but
So you mentioned small vans, but if you look going back and think of vans we used to use, in my memories, this time last year, about 14 years ago, I was fanging around the South Island with the AutoHub Buy UK Cars caravan, which we were racing around, and we had the vehicle I ended up driving for most of the journey was a Peugeot, at that stage, a medium compact Peugeot van. I can't remember the model of it now, and that was quite a revelation in terms of small European vans. It was a hell of a lot of fun.
Europeans know how to design a good handling van. I would argue the Japanese, in many ways, know how to design the more efficient van, and potentially the better longevity, the longer lasting van. But the Europeans, they can make the vans drive incredibly well. One of the cars I really enjoy driving is a Ford Transit, the Ford Transit Custom, particularly in the sport model. I was driving the all-wheel drive one of that a while ago. That is a veritable hot hatch of a van. So yeah. Anyway.
Too small for our family by the time you had a dog, 3 kids and gear, and a wife who actually likes to bring a lot of gear. So that's why we were in bigger vehicles. So it's just
at the moment for Christmas, David, we also have in the company the 5 or 6 seat double cab, which I think is a really good layout, and I've considered one before, and the 9-seater. So yeah, plenty of stuff floating around. Anyway.
Those good vans, those little good vans are incredibly practical for what they are.
Yeah. Right. Let's run through the news, and we're just saying before that, but this is going to be a quick one today, which means it'll take 45 minutes, and we spent 10 minutes talking about Christmas shirts and vans. Right. David, you'll probably want to probably lead on this one. Mito set to return to industry ownership from January 2026. Mito will officially transition back to industry ownership on 1st January 2026 after the Tertiary Education Commission approved its move out of Te Pukenga and into the new entity, Mito Limited, under the Transport Industry Skills Board. The change marks a significant shift for the organisation, which has supported apprenticeships and workforce training for more than 50 years across the automotive, road transport, mining, quarrying, drilling, gas and logistics sector. Good to see that come back out. It has continued to do good work under its current structure. They have just hit, I think, their 30,000th technician apprentice finishing. But yeah, good to see that back in proper industry control. David?
Would never have happened in the first place.
Didn't neither of you put your hands up for seats on the board? Because I would have thought you guys, both of you guys with your experience, could have played a role in that one.
I haven't, no. I thought about it, but I haven't. But in terms of bringing it back out on its own entity for both the mining and transport sectors, it makes it incredibly more visible. It makes it easier from a governance role to administer it. It's more able to be to determine its own destiny. It hasn't got outside competitions within a larger group. It's when you get old enough, there's a saying that comes up time and time again: what goes round comes round. And we argued the industry, that is both the motor industry and the mining industry, along with a number of other industries, argued passionately when Hipkins decided he wanted to roll this all up into one unit, one big organisation, that it wasn't going to work. You had 2 problem ITOs, industry training organisations, out of the 13, and they decided to do away with the other 11 that were humming along to fix 2. And as its time has shown, that's not worked all that well. So I'm pleased that the government has seen fit to allow the structure to change, and I'm delighted that Mito is back under its own governance structure.
Excellent. We need more technicians. I know that there are great people that we bring from overseas, but that's not the only way to solve the issue. We need
short term, we need people from overseas. Long term, we don't, if we get it right. But part of bear in mind that the other part of what happens here is the immigration rules around who you can and can't bring in, and that affects some of the challenges that the industry is facing, because it's the more senior roles as we've got a graying technical age, as they sort of retire and move out of the sector, we haven't got enough coming up behind them. And so how do you plug those gaps? That's the short-term measure. So Mito being more visible and doing a stellar job, it's plugging away at it, and industry needs to get behind and support the apprenticeship scheme and get more apprenticeships through, because that's how you do it. You've got to build, you've got to think. You can't fix it if you don't put a stake in the ground and say, from this point forward, we're going to do things better. But then it takes time for the picture to properly be painted. But they haven't put the stake in the ground yet. Well, they have now in terms of bringing Mito back out, and Mito recognises the issues around industry training, but it's the industry that's got to get behind it and support the initiatives.
Yeah. An interesting sign of how much demand there is for this kind of thing is there's another story on AutoTalk this week. We haven't got it on here today, but UCOL, who have for a long time run a very good courses on qualifying people for technicians, heavy mechanics, that kind of stuff. Their students are being hired out of the course, as in they're not even getting to their course and they're being given paid jobs just straight off the bat. They're going straight in. Yeah, I think they're working, and the fact that the UCOL's promoting it suggests that they're working with them to finish their work. But that's the demand that is there for these people right now. So, a good news story there. Not so good news story. Judge rules public need protection from luxury car dealer. A High Court judge has ruled that public and business community need protection from the poor business practices of Auckland luxury car dealer Alexander Beecham, declining his proposal to avoid bankruptcy. Judge Grant Britton made the ruling in October following an application by Rotorua man Tony Caulfield, who lost $100,000 after purchasing a stolen 1969 Jaguar E-Type from Beecham's business in 2018. Beecham operated Beecham European from Great South Road in Penrose, selling refurbished late model vehicles, including Jaguar, Aston Martin, Bentley models, before the business entered receivership and liquidation. Can we make this clear? This is separate to the restoring business out of the Hawke's Bay. That is part of the same family, but is not. Does not relate to that. We actually covered the stolen Jaguar case before. Caulfield paid Beecham $100,000 for the classic Jaguar in April 2018, unaware the vehicle had been stolen years earlier. Beecham had purchased the car from a deceased estate for just $10,000 a month before the sale. When the theft was discovered, Caulfield was forced to return the vehicle to its rightful owner, despite winning a court judgment for $100,000 plus interest and costs. Beecham refused to provide a refund. Caulfield initiated bankruptcy proceedings in 2023. Obviously, we've been covered Beecham's, this particular part of Beecham's recently. It owes $7,000 in liabilities, including, and was recently liquidated, owing more than $400,000 to Inland Revenue. Beecham has proposed some payment options to clear the debts. Have the judge found that insufficient financial information had been provided to assess whether this altered outcomes, offered better outcomes in the bankruptcy. The judge says there are serious failings in the disclosure expected from an insolvent seeking approval of a proposal. A public interest in protecting the business community from Mr. Beecham's poor business practices. He said, noting that, sorry. Yeah, it's not a wonderful case. It's just you go and check it out. I don't think the actual financials of the business were necessarily the story here. It's that refusal to meet the order of the court that's more of the problem.
Concerning,
yeah.
And without sort of any particular trying to sort of any sort of legals on this sort of thing, I might comment that the name is not unfamiliar to previous cases before the tribunal over the last few years on similar issues around performance or lack of financial performance or payment. So it's not this is not an isolated issue that name has been entangled with in previous cases. So I don't think within the industry, I don't think there was a great amount of surprise, but the way that it's played out appears to be particularly disappointing. Because like always, these things reflect back on the wider trade. The run around town goes that, all these car dealers are shonky, none of them are paying their bills, none of them have any particular financial courtesy or respect, and it reflects badly on all of us.
Mm-hmm. Right. Ford announces dealer network leadership changes. Ford New Zealand has announced significant leadership transitions within its dealer network, with 2 long-serving dealer principals set to retire in 2026. The new appointment taking effect in January. Russell Peterson of Ultimate Motor Group and Mark Quinn of Wanganui Motors will both retire next year after distinguished careers spanning decades of service to their communities and customers. Peterson joined Ultimate Ford in 1999. Which sounds a modern date, but is actually a very, very long time ago, and became dealer principal in 2017. Though his Ford career extends beyond this time frame, he serves as a member of the National Dealer Council for several years and will retire at the end of May 2026. Quirk has led Wanganui Motors, part of the Dyke Group, since 2006 after joining the business in 1988. He will retire on March 31st, 2026. The company says it extends its deepest gratitude to both Peterson and Quirk for their unwavering dedication, leadership, and significant contributions to the Ford brand over the years. The company wishes them both a long, happy, and fulfilling retirement. New dealer principals will be great to be announced for those businesses, but there is one appointment. Ingham Ford Rotorua has appointed Edric Van Tonda, I hope I got that right, as dealer principal effective January 1, 2026. He brings extensive automotive experience to the role, having previously served as general manager at Andrew Sims Dunedin. Prior to this, he held several roles with Manukau Toyota, overseeing business operations from sales, service, and parts. Quite the move north there from Dunedin to Rotorua. A little bit warmer. Some parts of the year.
Slightly.
Getting himself in the hot water.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I bet you tell the dad jokes at the Christmas table, Richard.
Slightly less chance of finding drunk students half asleep in the back of a Ranger on the yard on a Sunday morning as well, I guess.
Let's just not go there.
Armstrong's opened certified used dealership in Newmarket. Armstrong's expanded its used vehicle network with the recent openings of a new certified used dealership in Newmarket. The site at 82 Great South Road becomes Armstrong's fourth certified used location, extending the group's presence in the pre-owned market. That's the old Nissan building, Polestar building, everything building. Will people stop moving around in Newmarket? I was
Newmarket's
in there the
terrible.
other day.
It's like
moving chairs. I was in there the other day at the opening of another new dealership, the Denza dealership, and the amount of movement that goes on and behind the scenes, and not just brands moving, but ownerships and leases and all this kind of stuff. There's dealerships there that are someone owns it, but someone has lease on it, but someone subleased that to another brand, and it's just it's all over the place. Ridiculous. Can you guys just buy a yard and stay there?
Well, the problem is that Newmarket's becoming one of those default, particularly within the franchise sector, one of the sort of the anchor points of Auckland, as Graeme has lost its shine, so to speak, with the ingress of housing and bigger industrial and commercial apartments going in there. So everyone's got to move somewhere, and it's either across the shore and the hub across in Wairau, or it appears that Newmarket has now become that hub point. Even Green Lane, talking about it with somebody a couple of days ago, the old sort of Green Lane mile of cars, everything seems to have compacted itself down, and Newmarket is that hub. So it's not really a surprise about the moving chairs going on a regular basis.
Yes.
The other thing to comment on that is just how hot that the used market is right now. And you're looking at Armstrong's operation, that's a good sign of just how much of a revenue stream and how much buyer activity there is in the used sector. It is on fire.
Well, I think this is a smart thing. I'm not suggesting this is a negative side to it. The question you have to ask yourself is, are they those 4 yards that are all on very premium locations? Are they there just ultimately to be used car yards, or are they being secured because Armstrong's is developing an awful lot of new business at the moment? They've got a couple new Chinese brands already on, and they've got a couple more in the works. Are they securing these sites and giving them something to do until they need them for these other brands that are coming through? Because if you don't take up the lease and use a piece of land at the moment in some of those sections, someone else will grab it and someone else will put a dealership on it.
You're probably quite right on that. With good industrial land like that in such a premium in Auckland, you'd be mad not to be securing yourself a future advantage.
Yep. So you grab it, you put a certified used thing on it. I mean, they've got another certified used property not that far away. Oh, was that still them, or is that Andrew Sims now? You see, I don't know, because they keep switching around. And you hold it there until you need to put a new brand on it.
And at this stage in the economy on the downturn, as leases come up for renewal or lease opportunities come up, it's probably a good strategy to secure it at better prices than what maybe they were paying a year or two ago, and hold it until they really need it.
Yep. So yes, that's there. Right, I've put this in the middle of the run. I know this is cheesy doing it myself, but you know, we kind of got to, because it is big industry news this week, or you can tell me if it is or not. Auto Trader and NZ Autocar form partnership. So Auto Trader and New Zealand Autocar have formed a strategic partnership to integrate their online editorial operations, marking the latest collaboration in New Zealand's evolving automotive media landscape as brands seek greater scale and reach. And I'm going to run the story here just to justify saying this is an industry story by talking about the broader market before I talk about what we're up to. Industry consolidation trend. The partnership reflects a broader trend of collaboration in New Zealand's automotive media sector. Earlier this year, NZME's Driven announced a partnership with Australia's Cars Guide, while Trade Me confirmed a joint venture with Car Expert in recent months, as publishers seek to combine editorial expertise with marketplace reach. So I'm not just saying this is news because I'm involved in it. But anyway, from today, which was early this week, visitors to autocar.co.nz are automatically redirected to AutoTrader, where Autocar's editorial content is now hosted alongside New Zealand's dedicated vehicle marketplace. The partnership combines news, first drives, reviews, videos, and features with AutoTrader's existing marketplace functionality. The collaboration brings together significant digital audience reach. NZ Autocar attracts around 250,000 visits a month, nearly 500,000 page views, or more than 300,000 New Zealanders shop for cars on AutoTrader each month. I know that that's a statistic and that it's not necessarily 300,000. Well, it might be 300,000 individuals going for a bit of a browse. I don't know. It's a good number. Spending an average of 6 minutes browsing. That is a very good number for those in internet land. 6 minutes on a website is an eternity. AutoTrader's email audience exceeds 229,000 people and delivers roughly 14.5 million targeted advertising impressions monthly. Autocar's editorial team remains unchanged, including some guy called Richard Edwards, Carl Cassidy, Andrew Sluice, Alex Schultz, and Amber Erasmus, with expert support from China-based commentator Mark Rainford and columnist Rob Scott. What we've got now is the first stage. Basically, if you go to read car news in New Zealand, and this applies to us and every outlet pretty much in the long run, you will be served listings related to what you're reading about. And if you go and shop for a car, you'll be served expert advice and opinions on that vehicle that you're looking at. So super good tie in there, I think. AutoTrader,
and it's just following the trend being seen overseas already. If anybody here is wondering how the hell does it come to New Zealand, this is nothing unusual in the other markets around the world.
Exactly. It's all for us about being part of the buyer process, right? And it was great to actually see we had some positive comments on social this week from dealers, literally dealers, that, a lot of this is just, we need to make the buying process as, condensed for people as possible. If they're reading about cars, show them the cars. I
must admit, when I went on to read my favorite new car magazine, I was a bit frustrated and annoyed that I couldn't get to autocar.co.nz. And I thought, what the hell's going on? Because I sort of read it pretty early on in the morning from my phone. And the comment that I will make is I do not like the format on the phone. It doesn't work for me at all. I don't like having to go through, do you want to buy or sell a car to get to car news? I want to go straight to car news. On the desktop, the way it currently is set out is fine, because you do that and the car buy or sell is just a banner at the top and gives you an option. But on the phone, no, the layout doesn't work.
It is all being worked on. This was very much day one, and there were a few teething issues. But I'm going to have
that's just me personally. So I tend to separate my buying or selling a car from reading about cars. So I don't go. So
I believe what you're talking about has actually been fixed. So if you go to it now, to AutoCar, it goes straight to that, and there's literally just a selection to reviews, news, all that kind of stuff, and then straight into the content.
Right, it is. I'm a desktop browser, so I look at my email browser every morning. Comes in generally with two titles. There's only two titles I really look at. One is New Zealand's best known vehicle motoring magazine, of course, which may not have Autocar in the title, and I look at that, and I look at Motor Trend, and so that gives me a bit of a roundup from two sides of the globe. And I do like the style of the Autocar news feed coming on through in full browser view, and sit down there with a coffee, as it were, and sort of click through and see what's going on locally. And I think it's a really good platform. So, kudos to the team, Richard. This is just an extension of what's going on around the world in terms of marketing. And from the dealer perspective, any information is good information. And particularly from the used sector as well, I'd say that the increasing push into giving consumers an idea of what's going on in the used sector as well is a welcome one. But also just there are so many things going on in the vehicle landscape at the moment globally that it's really good to have that disseminated down into a New Zealand take on stuff that we can actually read.
And you'll also know,
right.
I'd just like to note, Graeme, if you're a used car dealer sitting out there, that is not a mirage. That is actually a used car review on a vehicle news website in New Zealand. I have started doing them, and I think it's very important that we do that. The used car market is currently, the used car market is massive. And I think it's often overlooked by the media. And our review series, which we're into about the 6th or 7th of now, I think is quite important to bring to the market.
I used to be that guy back in the day, back in the 90s, firing off angry emails to the likes of, and that stage it was actually AutoTrader, about how there was no coverage, no editorial content or coverage about used vehicles in a magazine that was selling used vehicles. And letters to the editor for the Herald and bits and pieces. And you know, it's funny, that's something like 28, 30, in fact, some cases, maybe 30 years forward, I think we're finally starting to see an understanding that for the mainstream automotive media, there are so many consumers out there with money to spend and they just want some information. And if you're an advertiser, all you want to have is the correct information flowing through to your eyes that are watching the screen that may potentially end up on your dealership. And it's good to see attention finally being paid to it, and good attention too, that those pieces that you are writing, Richard, with help from some people that I might know, it's really invaluable.
Yeah, you're right, Richard. The phone app is a better presentation now. I will also comment that this is not the first time in an if I'm talking about Autocar magazine, that has been dealing with reviews of used vehicles. Autocar used to run reviews of and comparisons of older vehicles. They've done that in the past quite helpfully. So it's nothing new, but it's been absent from the time. I guess what is that blending between a buy-sell and information about the vehicle.
It's where the market needs to go. People want to be better informed, and it's good to bring the two together. And as I said, and it sounds so cheesy, is it all I want to do with this, or what I want to do with this is target, helping people who are shopping for vehicles and looking for advice, helping them get to the cars they need better, and vice versa, helping those people who are shopping for cars get the information they need easier. And if we can get that right and help the most number of people get the right advice they need, or find the car they need once they've found the advice, the carry on for business for us is great. That's the reality. But that needs to be the fundamental bit. It's actually one of those really simple win-win-win kind of things in business, where if we get that part of it awesome, it'll make money in the long run. So sounds cheesy and self-serving, but that's actually the truth of it from my side. And as we showed before, all our back issues are in there. So this story is actually from from June this year, but we have stories from going back, I think, well over a decade, loaded into AutoTrader. So
there's a lot of pages in there. When I was looking at it on the desktop, Richard, I was really impressed how far back it goes.
Yeah, it goes into four figures. It's everything. We are, I wouldn't say shuttering, but we're basically pulling the Autocar website down to focusing on our social media, subscription sales, and just really pushing and highlighting the magazine rather than it kind of sinking behind that digital content. You can still find the old website. It does still exist at nzautocar.co.nz, but it's very much on a staged pullback to a new format. And if you do go click on the link on a story at the moment, it will take you straight back through to AutoTrader. And I want to thank Ross, our partner over at AutoTrader, for working on this with us. It's been a little while in the works, but I think it's going to be really cool. And next year, I think with us doing this, we've got Trademe working with Car Expert in that space. One day we'll maybe see something from NZME in regards to Cars Guide. I think it's going to be New Zealand's going to have quite an interesting and dynamic automotive media market. We've seen Australia doing some really interesting things in recent years, and I think we're going to head a little more in that direction. Anyway, let's knock through a couple more stories before we
15
go.
minutes going, Richard.
Yeah. bugger off. Engineers behind new generation Hilux test ute in South Island terrain. Two of Motor Corporation's lead engineers on the new generation Hilux have visited New Zealand to trial the ute in local conditions and speak directly with Kiwi owners as the company fine-tunes the model ahead of launch. The engineers, and I'm going to attempt these as best I can, Aniarat Sutabenjakul, Regional Chief Engineer, and Sankim Hazri, Deputy General Manager of the Vehicle Performance Engineering Department, accompanied by Executive Advisor Takeshi Tanabe, spent the weekend in South Island evaluating the ute across river crossings, steep climbs, and tough terrain. They said the purpose trip to New Zealand was to understand more about the market. They want to see real conditions, the real uses, and talk with Hilux customers. So yeah, getting the new Hilux right out the backcountry there. Yeah, good to see that they're doing this. Interesting to see that the engineering team is Thai led, which is, I actually think, is a positive thing. Look, Ford has been very careful with the Ford Ranger to lead their development out of Australia. This is kind of on a similar scale. You develop the cars in the markets that they play best in, right? And the line of Hilux that we get here is it's best sold in South Africa, Thailand, Australia, New Zealand, a little bit in South America. So you see engineering teams from those countries working on those vehicles. So I think that's really important. Yeah. How much, when you were working with new car brands through MIA, I mean, how much localization do you think was happening, David?
Well, back in the day when Mitsubishi, Ford, and GM had their proving grounds in Australia a lot, and then it sort of lessened a little bit, but there's always been, by the bigger brands, some fine-tuning towards how the suspension works, particularly for Australia and New Zealand, but also important for Thailand and Asia and Australia is how the vehicles perform in the heat. So that's quite different from Japan, where it tends to be warm in summer but quite cold in winter. So there's always been that assessment that's been worked on it, and they've just used a different range of strategies as to how they've gone about that. And it's not always in the news, but then we've also got the winter proving grounds in the South Island that is used as an international way of testing vehicles in the cold, but not just the cold running, but the all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, the traction, those sorts of things.
Yeah, just it's interesting. If we look at who does what where, obviously, the Australian brands when they were in existence, or the Australian brands, they obviously did a lot. The Japanese brands have always done a reasonable amount, but I've always seen them go for more of a global tune as such. The Europeans, you get a European tune. Hyundai and Kia, they have been very big in recent years of having an Australasian tune, particularly for their suspension, set out of Australia, and that has always been quite successful with those vehicles. The Chinese brands are really making moves in this area. So, for example, GWM has hired Rob Tribbiani. Who's legendary in Australia for. He used to do a lot of the dynamic tuning of Holdens for many years. A very well-known guy. I've done a few laps around circuits with him. He was the one that set the world record for a pickup truck around the Nürburgring in a Commodore Ute. So he's now working on stuff for them. The Chinese brands have actually been found really interesting. Have been quite willing to and quickly respond to feedback from journalists in regards to vehicle dynamics and vehicle settings. But one that's often overlooked is Mahindra. So Mahindra, they do a lot of testing in New Zealand, a lot of dynamic testing. In fact, a lot of the testing for New Zealand and Australia gets done in New Zealand. Russell Burling, who works with them, spends a lot of time with a team doing an awful lot of mileage here on the New Zealand roads. So yeah. Now we have a new brand officially launching this week in New Zealand, Denza, which is the luxury, it's the Lexus to BYD's Toyota. They've landed here, two models, the B5 and the B8, both super hybrid off-road luxury vehicles. They start at $88,990 for the B5 and go up to $117,990 for the 6-seat variant of the B8. I've driven these in China. They are very impressive vehicles. On the upper specs of both models, you get things like front, center, and rear diff locks. They can do 100 odd K of electric alone. Super luxury. I think these will find an early market with those who perhaps want a Land Cruiser, but maybe a smidge more city focused, but smidge more luxury. So yeah, gonna be interesting to see those going around. Might try and get one to take you for a ride up Murawai one, Graeme. Nothing like going a Murawai with 400 odd kilowatts of hybrid power under your wheels.
There's always a spare space in my driveway, Richard. You know that.
I'll have a video coming out, I think, later today, if not tomorrow, of a bit of walk around of the new dealership on the site. And the last story for the day, I thought we'd finish on this show. I think we might be able to squeeze in one more show for the year, but on this show, on a positive note, economy shows early signs of recovery. The New Zealand economy is beginning to turn a corner, with spending lifting and interest rate cuts starting to flow through household budgets, according to ASB's latest economic forecast update. The bank expects growth to strengthen through 2026 as lower mortgage rates, easing inflation, and improved export conditions support activity, although the recovery remains uneven and sensitive to global risks. ASB Chief Economist Nick Tuffley says the impact of rapid mortgage rate declines through 2025 is now feeding into spending behaviour. Consumer spending has already been lifting for a year, and in September quarter, consumers went nuts in electrical and electronic stores. Not only that, they were busily buying up cars to rush themselves around to all the sales. I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Tuffley. I think the rental car companies were buying up cars to rush tourists around the country. So yes, I think that's positive. If I can add a little bit of very close-in economic observation, I live in as everyone knows, in a holiday town. Holiday towns are often early to suffer when a recession is coming, because the people with lots of money know when the money's going to start running out and they back off early. But they're also some of the first to kind of nudge forward and start moving forward when the money starts to return. And I go around regularly and chat to the restaurant owners and the shop owners here. And the start of this season, so since Labour weekend, has been the biggest for them since pre-COVID, or since that boom after COVID. The last couple of years have been pretty dismal, and this year is already like, whoa, this is busy. That's a good sign. And I know, why would I care about some shops doing well in Mangawhai? Well, if people have got money to take a holiday and go and spend up at the batch, or go and put new furniture in at the batch, or so forth, or rush to get their holiday home finished for the summer season, well, that flows on down the economy.
Consumer sentiment is a huge driver in our market, and I've said this time and time again. You get me sick of me saying it, but it's true. It's all about consumer sentiment. If people are feeling like it's a little bit better out there, and if the news stories stop flashing doom, gloom, instant financial apocalypse, then their thinking starts to change, and they either want to treat themselves, or they just think they've held off for long enough. I'm not talking about the needs basis in our industry, but so much of our industry is not based on need, it's based on want. And it's the want bit that's been missing over the last year or two. And we're just starting to see here, and the other guys that I talk to, guys and girls out there, the same thing. We're starting to see the want factor come back into car purchasing. And that's, as an industry, what we need, because we want to have people feeling good about making a vehicle purchase, updating, upgrading, new accessories, just something new in their lives, because that's how the vehicle carousel keeps rolling.
I've got a couple of comments, Richard, on this. I think I was interested to see the various economic reports saying, there's the bottom's been reached and it's starting to grow. Optimism is growing. Conversely, though, there are two things I think to look for. It's the question I have is how long term and how durable will the uplift be? One bank has already said they've hit the bottom in terms of interest rates for that 2 to 5 years, so they're starting to either hold it or lift it. So their long-term outlook is not as optimistic as I thought it might be. So then that sent me scurrying through the various media outlets and things to have a look as to what's going on behind the scenes. And I think the one thing that we might need to look at is what is happening in the US market. In the US, there's already talk about the share market perhaps heading into a little bit of turmoil next year because of the policies of the Trump administration eventually catching up. So while there is optimism, there are some signals out there that says don't go crazy, spend with some caution, but just it's any uplift is good for us. But I'm still a little bit cautious on how strong that uplift might be.
I look at the announcement, this announcement this week of the proposed new rules around entering America as potentially being massive for New Zealand. This whole thing of them wanting to scrape 5 years of social media off people. You watched tourism from Australia to America will drop like a stone. From England to America and most of Europe to America will drop like a stone. Asia, I'm not sure will be quite so heavily hit, but those people are going to want somewhere to go. And we're popular.
Take. And I am pro-American. Let's be honest. I spent half my bloody life there. But I saw this as a really difficult turning point for tourism into America for the medium term. And
business travel.
People are going to spend their money.
Constant. I look at for example, I travel a lot for car launches. People know that usually the show goes down or I'm doing it from a hotel room. In the past, there used to be quite a few launches that would go to America. This year there was one and it was cancelled, or at least the New Zealand Australians pulled out of it. And this means that there will be probably none next year. There's no Australian motoring journalist wants to go to America after that kind of stuff. And that means that those people, that'll apply to a lot of businesses and conferences, even outside of our space. Again, they're going to want to go somewhere. It's kind of handy the New Zealand International Conference Centre is opening in February. Because I think there'll be conferences that may have been in America that are going to go, well, maybe we'll go somewhere else. Will as many dealers go to NADA next year? No, I suspect not, which means that probably an extra few will go to the AADA in Australia, which is, it's going to have, and I'm talking about the industry, New Zealand automotive industry specific stuff there, but I believe that that will apply to a lot of businesses, and that's, big business. So,
and the tourism machine in New Zealand is huge, but it's also, I think, it's incredibly resilient and fleet-footed at finding opportunities where opportunities can be found. And if we see an increasing flow of, if we say, diverted international visitors, boy, what a great time for the machine to be positioned, ready to go for that. Because you can better believe it, every corporate involved in international tourism right now is looking and saying, how can we capitalize on this further?
The massive rental car figures now, I put in slightly different context, in that when I start thinking about it in that kind of term, right? And that some of us think they're going, all these companies got a whole pile of cars to move, they must drop their pants on that, blah, blah, blah. Well, is it maybe a bit more push-pull than we thought? And it's actually the tourism industry's gone, we need a heck of a lot of vehicles.
I can tell from I can say from my previous life, Richard, that rental car sales tend to be more pull than push. And when they don't want the cars, all of the distributors start going, oh dear, what are we going to do? So I think the pull is there. Although I still have a word of caution. Sure, we can make a silk purse out of a pig's ear of American politics, but we can only go so far. And if America suffers, then the rest of the Western world then has some challenges. So I'm just saying it's good, and I think we will for the next year do much better than we have in 2025, and that is a nice Christmas cherry thought. Anything to do better than 2025 and 2024. So let's enjoy it while it lasts. Yes.
Last line of the day, and we mentioned conferences there. This is a little teaser for those who've stayed to the end of the AutoTalk weekly wrap. AutoTalk Live Auckland, May 5th, Eden Park. We've got a nice venue there.
That's a nice venue.
We've taken all the feedback we've had before. We do like our quirky little venues. We did like the race course, but we know you guys want close to the city, but car parking. 450 free car parks available to us. So there you go. And we're going to have some great... Yep, Deloitte has signed on, and for the event, and we have MTA who have partnered again as our powered by sponsor. We brought them up from Christchurch. They're going to do Auckland as well now, and so May 5th. If you're looking for sponsorship opportunities, email deborah@automediagroup.co.nz. We are putting those together now. She will potentially pre-sell you a table, though that at the moment is still within the if you're buying naming rights kind of thing, or if you're buying a partnership right kind of thing. And she will also take speaker inquiries too. But yeah, May 5th, 2026. We'll see everyone there, and I'm going to insist that you two come to the next one, or at least Graeme. I don't know what David, you've got big plans for next year, so maybe you'll be doing something else. But we'll maybe talk about that next week.
I've got plans to be gainfully employed, just quite. Or similar.
Yes. If anyone needs a excellent industry operator, Mr. McDonald is more than happy to talk to you. So yes, at least you're doing that at the end of the recession, Graeme, rather than at the start of the recession.
Yeah, I guess you could say the timing's quite good, actually. Yeah, that's right. I'd hate to be doing this at the start of 25. There you are.
Yeah. Anyway, see everyone. I'm going to be here next week. You guys going to be here next week?
Where else would I be, Richard?
Exactly. Next week will be the last one of the year. So, we'll see you then.
All right.